we a certain way about how we move, right? We don't move the same because if everybody moved the same, we would cause a calamity and be all in everybody's way.
That's right.
This, what I'm doing on the internet, is following the path of least resistance to reach the most amount of people to tell them that this shit is truly over. Let's find something else to talk about. Turn to another slide.
Okay.
Okay, this right here is SCOTUS ruled in the landmark case United States versus Throckmorton. The fraud vitiates everything. We already showed them the fraud when they went behind our back and wrote that contract in the blood of Crispus Attucks to put us in the conjure war.
Go ahead.
We didn't know that. That's a fraud. It was what you call in law an a very vital piece of exculpatory evidence that we could have used to get out of it, because we could have forgave the blood if we knew what we was doing back then. That's why they kept it a secret. Only because I'm a witch doctor off this land over here, Mississippi Red Clay Dirt Walking, Hyoka High Chief. This is how I know that all of these frauds was taking place on the land, right? It's by categorically asserting that fraud vitiates everything. The SCOTUS affirms that perpetrating fraud undermines the entire endeavor, the whole contract, the complete judgment, the final result still have been nullified since fraud vitiates everything, right? All of these contracts is predicated up on a constructed fraud by trying to convince the people they government. They not our government. They a private enterprise operating in the capacity of government as a legal fiction to defraud the people out of what they call tax dollars. So in our oral tradition, by me putting this shit in the public domain, that make it time-stamped and dated. That's fucking evidence. It's archivable evidence. This is why I'm on the internet.
This shit might go over their head, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, they're going to have to come up to the level then. If they ain't on this level, they ain't understanding what I'm saying, right? Let's go to the next one. Ex post facto law. This is leading up to the grandfather clause. The ex post facto law is from the Latin for the action or after the fact, also called retroactive law. Is a law of retroactivity challenges the legal consequences or status of actions that were committed or relationships that existed before the enactment of the law, right? Conversely, a form of ex post facto law, commonly called amnesty law, may be decriminalize certain acts or alleviate possible punishments. For example, by replacing the death sentence with life sentence retroactively. Such laws are also known by the Latin term in medias, right? So the law that came after the fact is everything that came after the agreement of the Continental Congress in a Iroquois Constitution. Predates the entirety of all what we call North American law, modern day jurisprudence, the bar associations. The bar associations is barristers. They don't got nothing to do with us. They got titles of nobility from England. They was christened in under King George.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Right? So they the ones was chartered to do business and to hold us in psychological slavery and servitude. This is what the John Dee conquest was about. John Dee was the ones who told Elizabeth I to write the blood of one of the chiefs in the contract called the Constitution that they lured our so-called 5 civilized tribes in without them knowing. That's fraud.
Yeah, go ahead.
Their whole shit is fraud. Go to the next one.
Somebody in the crowd in the chat say, Roy, get these niggas, man. Get these niggas, man.
Okay, we can skip this one because that's dealing with what we just went over. But that's just another ex post facto description about making up a law after the fact. This is what happens when the ex post facto law runs into a law that was there first. It's called a grandfather clause, right?
Yeah.
Scroll up a little bit, Elder, so you can see a grandfather clause, also called a legacy clause, is an exemption that allows persons or entities to continue with activities or operations that were approved before the implementation of new rules, regulations, or laws. Such allowance can be permanent, temporary, or instituted with limits. They always had a time limit to how long they could stay here. They've already acknowledged on the Senate floor and by presidential actions that they acknowledge the conclusions to the contracts. Their time is up. It's over with. Right? Let's go to the next slide. So by the grandfather clause, this is how you get, okay, we gotta go to the first one of them. That looks like that might be the last one.
Yeah, right here.
Okay, non-treaty tribes. The relation between non-treaty Native Americans and the United States is complex and has been shaped by a number of Supreme Court rulings. So let me tell y'all where I got this from. I was having a conversation with AI and I asked AI about the non-treaty tribes, and this is the answer that AI gave. In the early days of the Republic, the Supreme Court held that Native Americans were domestic dependent nations. That means a protectorate, for those who don't know. Or domestic dependent mean that they got to take care of you like a parent take care of a child, or like a farmer take care of his animals.
Yeah, pet.
That was subject to the ultimate authority of the United States government. How? How, Sway? They don't got nothing to do with us. This doctrine was used to justify the government expropriation of Native American land and resources. In the late 19th century, the Supreme Court began to recognize that Native Americans had certain inherent rights, such as the right to self-government. However, these rights were often limited by government powers to regulate Native American affairs. See, we ain't talking about allowing the enemy to tell us what to do. We know how to do it ourselves. And I was up there chilling. I was preparing for a show with Young Elder.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't gonna be done tonight though. I still got some more receipts to pull up.
Okay. All right. What y'all was gonna talk about?
Who is the real Asiatic black man? So it was I had got a telepathic communication from the other side from Elijah Muhammad.
Ooh.
He said, explain who the Asiatic black man is, because in the nation doctrine, when they say, who are you? And then the answer is the Asiatic black man, the original man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. And it traces back to Hanuman and Son of Wukong and the different phenotypical traits that different genotypes produce. So it was some science in there.
When did the word Asiatic pop up on the scene? When did we start? You know how we talk about black and all these. When did we start using the word Asiatic, right?
All of those terms is in the 1900s. We wasn't using none of those terms before the 1900s. So in the sciences, the science used Latin terminologies to give names, right, to the different. Everything is named with Latin terminologies. You know, like the Wolverine, Gullah Gullah, which means the throat of the throat, because they say he got an endless throat, eat everything. You know, then you have the terms for other animals. Like when you're talking about cows, you're talking about bovian. All of the Latin terms that we extract the common name from the old Latin terms.
Right.
So even when you get to people, when you start talking about Homo sapien, Homo erectus, genus Homo, and then you start talking about the subspecies of Neanderthal, Australopithecines, all these are derived from the Latin language. Asia is a Latin rendition of Far Eastern term. The scientific term for the original people from they got several terms, the Denisovian, the Negritos, all these Latin terminologies. So when you realizing that we've been dealing with terms imposed upon us by Spanish-speaking or Latin-speaking peoples, then our understanding of the English language even takes a higher approach, because many of the words in the modern English language is borrowed from all of the rest of the languages around the world, from Chinese, from Hindi, from Japanese. You know, we got words in the English language that's not English in origin. Matter of fact, about 80% to 90% of the English language does not come from an English-speaking country, but they are terms that they have adopted an English pronunciation from a foreign language. So even when we get to talking about the tribes, when we call ourselves Chickasaw and Choctaw, those are not tribal linguistics. Those are exonyms. Cherokee, Mohawk, Tomahawk, right? Those are all English renditions. Because they couldn't pronounce our language, we was forced to do business with them using their language. And the business language became the common language over time, when if we was caught speaking our languages, we got murdered. So we deal with these terms now. So when Elijah say the maker and owner, the cream of the planet of God of the universe, we don't know he's talking about tribal Mississippian organics that they call Negrito. So I just was pulling up receipts and images to show what he's talking about. And that's what we're gonna be doing. That's over there.
That's gonna be a good one. When y'all doing that, Rod? So everybody can tune in. When y'all doing that?
I think we're going tomorrow.
Okay.
I still got a couple more. I got to organize my receipts so it could flow in the show format.
Right. Definitely. That's going to be fire, y'all. Make sure y'all check out Rod Hayes, the Young Elder, tomorrow night for more information on that. Yo, Rod, in the chat, they said Rod got the ladies going crazy. They talking about your haircut, Rod. They loving the new haircut, Rod. They loving the haircut, Rod.
They right now they just hollering at the moon because I ain't trying to hear it.
Oh man, love to hear it. Yo, so Rod, so listen, what I wanted to ask you about. speaking of the moon, I heard B-Dale talking about September 17th yesterday. It was a full super moon and a partial lunar eclipse. I seen a couple of videos on it. Now I know they decided to do the whole Diddy shit right on the day of, or right the day before, the day of the whole, while this whole energy is open tour for us, they got this whole Diddy and that shit. There's thousands of videos of Diddy right now online. So everybody and their mom is focused on Diddy, but there's some spiritual shit going down. So I'm like, let me get Rod on what's happening right now. Because I feel it, Rod. I feel something. The veil is thin, B-Dale said. Talk to me.
So the not only is it a partial eclipse, but it's also a Virgo moon. It's a Virgo super moon, which is the divine feminine. The eclipse is always representative of an energy shift.
Right.
This is a partial energy shift, and on the heels of it, you see a lot of stuff coming out that was before kept secret. You know, like the Diddy case been being investigated, we know of at least a year. And it took them that long to arrest him for a freak off party. And so the eclipse is the energy that it's like a opening of a door that was closed. It's a partial eclipse is it's a crack in the door and you can partially see in it.
Dope.
You know, so when we looking at the day, okay, so the 9th month is the letter I. The 17th day is the letter Q. Right. So now we're talking about an intelligence code being dropped.
Right.
And we know that Diddy called out the CIA with his Bad Boy record label, because we know that the Bad Boys, the CIA motto is real bad boys move in silence. Right. So when he came out with that's a song with GINDJAB and Black Rob, in the beginning of the song, he's telling them bad boys come out and play. And all of this is to be a trigger for a series of unfortunate events for a bunch of unhealthy individuals that's been corrupting the system. And whether Puffy guilty or not, they haven't produced a person that said they was at the freak off party and didn't consent to what happened at the freak off party. So so all of the victims are what you call an assumed victim. This ties back into the assumed jurisdiction of the legal fiction. There's a whole bunch of assumptions in the Puffy thing, but Puffy's situation is not alone. It's not a standalone situation. It's a whole lot of big, powerful people in the music industry, music moguls, that this is connected to. Because remember, everybody that's in New York of any status know that Clive Davis was funding those parties. Everybody know it. It's not a secret. It's what you call an open secret. Everybody know that Lear Cohen was also implicit. We know that on the West Coast, you had Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, and that crew also financing the same events on the West Coast. So we know who these people protected by, because they the ones who be calling these artists up, threatening their life if they don't perform, if they don't sign over they record label, or sign over they masters, or sign over they residuals and they ASCAP and they BMI, and they trying to make sure that the artists stay broke. Right. So all of this stuff has to come out, because everything in the age of Aquarius got to be exposed. And now we living in the time where the truth is way more disturbing than the lies that we've been told. You're on mute.
Once again, family, I see if some of y'all coming in late, Queen of Fool cannot make it tonight. So I was just about to just cancel the show and call it because I just did a show. But I said, let me see if my brother Rod could come on real quick because I wanted to just ask Rod about the energy that's in the air right now and get his take on some of the things out there. So Rod had availability, and if he has availability, he's always willing to come on the platform. So y'all make sure you show the brother love for him being willing to, dedicate so much time and energy. So Queen of B, she's going away, and I think she'll be back on the platform in about 2 weeks, y'all. So in about 2 weeks, Queen will be back on the platform. But I thank everybody for their patience.
Hey, if I was ego driven, you would have stroked the hell out of my ego, replacing Queen of Fool with me. That's an ego stroke.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that's the queen right there. She done put in work, Rod. She done put in some serious work. And yeah, she definitely deserves her flowers. So shout out to once again, shout out to Queen of Four. Rod, let me ask you this: with everything that you see going on right now,